Dear friends, queridos amigos, we've got among our distinguished guests Miss Mann from the Bank of England, whose job it is to take the punch bowl away when the party starts to warm up. And unfortunately, that is my role tonight, to do that, but only for a few minutes. In my case, for a few seconds. Just to say welcome once again. It is fantastic to have the Center for European Reform here again, Charles. And you're coming so often that you can consider this, yeah, you're here. You can consider this your second home now. Yes. So anyway, we hold the presidency of the European Union, Spain, right now. It's a big responsibility and a big honor. And it is a special pleasure then to have the Center for European Reform, the most prestigious and the most efficient think tank on EU relations with the UK. We have tried to do a good job in the presidency. It's almost over. We did a lot of things on the climate change pact. On the migration pact is practically ready for the signing. We have dealt with a very complicated situation in foreign affairs, which continues and even worsens with what is happening in the Middle East. And probably this presidency, it will be remembered for the December Council, which will take place in a month's time, where with all probability new candidates will be accepted and the European Union will be changed, dramatically changed, because if we take seriously this enlargement process, we'll have to reform deeply the European Union. But of course I know nothing about that. It is Charles and you, the members of the Center for European Reform, that know about that. So I've already exhausted my seconds, just to say that you are here in the Embassy of Spain. We have been here since 1927. This is a house built in 1838 when the young Queen Victoria went to Buckingham, so just an eye blink away. We are trying to improve it all the time. You can see the painting by Bayeu, Goya's brother-in-law, painted in 1750-something, just restored. We finished restoring it last week. And of course, as the Center for European Reform is going to come here again often, you will see one by one the rest of the paintings restored. Just one last word before giving the floor to Charles, and it is that I'm immensely pleased to have here Secretary of State for Levelling Up, Michael Gove. He refuses to accept that he's the cleverest man in cabinet, but in my opinion, he is. And I don't watch much television, but whenever he goes down into the Commons and he goes into the fray in the Commons, that is something that I not only watch, but I tape to rewatch it later and later. So let us listen now to Charles, and thank you very much for having come today.
Thank you very much, José Pascual. 3 brief words from me before we hear Michael. Firstly, about Michael himself. Michael holds a unique honour. He's the only person in the history of the Centre for European Reform who has twice spoken now to see our birthday party. The last time was, I think, 2014, Show the Italians. So thank you very much, Michael, for coming out and supporting us again. I'm only going to say one thing about Michael in terms of domestic politics, which is, I think there's a paradox about Michael Gove. A lot of people are very critical of him. They really are. But he's excessively polite to everyone, as far as I can see. This is a paradox, I think. I just was listening to Nick Robinson's podcast about political thinking with Michael this week. And Nick quoted some of the things that people said about him, Boris Johnson, Nadine Dorries, and so on. And Michael was scrupulously polite about all of them, even when he was called the Severus Snape of British politics. He was very, very polite and said, Nadine Dorries was a very effective health minister. So his response to that. So he's a very polite person, which I approve of. Not everybody on the CR's advisory board was entirely happy when I said I'd invited Michael Gove to speak at our birthday party. Some of them said, but why Gove? Why Gove? Well, the answer is we believe in balance. Last year we had Keir Starmer, so why not have Michael Gove this year? We believe in engaging and debating people, even if we disagree with them on some issues. And of course, we did disagree with Michael on the issue of Brexit. Now, just second word about the CER. We couldn't have done what we've done for 25 years without the fantastic team we've had. The researchers, the admin team, the advisory board, they've all been very, very skilled and effective, and they've worked fantastically well as a team. I'd like to thank, can we have a round of thanks for my colleagues, please? They've been wonderful. There's been a lot of continuity over 25 years of the CER. We still believe in serious evidence-based policy making. We're not a flashy organisation with a strong ethos of teamwork, and we believe in providing practical solutions to problems, which is why politicians and officials do listen to us and talk to us. The discontinuity, of course, is Brexit, but that's actually changed things less than you might expect. We still have our two core missions, coming up with ideas and policies for reforming the EU so that it works better, and improving the quality of Britain's relationship with Europe. Both those missions remain just as important post-Brexit as pre-Brexit. Finally, the third comment about the world itself. The world has become more gloomy since we set up the CER. The state of democracy in America and other countries in the world is alarming. There's been a backlash against economic liberalism. Russia has evolved in a really awful way. And illiberal populism is on the march in many parts of the world. But let me try and finish with a slightly more optimistic note. The EU itself is quite a strong organisation. It's not falling apart. I'm not sure we ever did say it was going to fall apart, Michael, but it's not falling apart. The Eurozone is fairly safe. People do the reforms necessary when they need to. For EU foreign policy, it's not a disaster. It's been pretty bad on the Middle East, but it's been pretty good on Russia with 11 rounds of sanctions, strong sanctions passed against Russia. It's a mixed blessing there. It's a mixed record there. The EU is trying to enlarge. It's moving forward, as José Pascual said, towards enlargement. I think it's going to be a very long and difficult process, but it is at least moving in the right direction on enlargement. And the EU is doing quite serious things to combat climate change. My final reason for optimism is that Britain is improving its relationship with Europe. And let's give credit where credit is due. Some credit goes to Michael Gove's government, the government which he serves in. Rishi Sunak has improved Britain's relations with Europe. And just today, earlier today, we had a defence conference with our friends at RUSI and Eurodefence. And we had James Heappey, a Tory minister, saying that the EU was making a very positive contribution to European security. And he also said that Britain should build a closer relationship with the EU's defence arrangements. So that is from a Tory minister. That shows with some progress. So let's give them some credit. I think a future Labour government, if there is a Labour government, will actually go further and develop an even closer relationship with Europe. We're not going to rejoin while Michael and I are working in our jobs, but who knows about the long term. In the short term, in the medium term, we're going to get a closer relationship. I think the very dangerous and difficult geopolitical environment gives every strong reason for Britain and its European partners to work closer together. I think everybody can see that, and we will do so. That's enough for me. Over to Michael.
Ambassador, thank you for the hospitality you're extending to me and to the CER this evening. It's an absolute pleasure to be here to say thank you to Charles. 25 years ago, I was a callow young columnist on The Times. As those 25 years have passed, the CER has played a distinguished part in the debate that we've been having in this country about our relationship with Europe. But more than that, the CER has also been responsible for providing detailed work on security, on economics, on constitutional reform, which has helped to shape and inform a debate in which we've all been part. Charles referred to the debate that this country had in 2016, and during that debate, when I appeared on Sky News, uttered the, not perhaps immortal words, but certainly memorable words, that people in this country have had enough of experts from organisations with acronyms that have got things wrong in the past. Well, Charles, you are gloriously exempt from that. As acronyms go, CER stands for Consistently Excellent Research. And also the work that you've done, particularly but not exclusively on security, has been prescient, more necessary now than ever, and read with admiration in the UK and elsewhere. Now, Charles, of course, mentions that I might not always agree with the CER's products, but if I only talked to people with whom I agreed that I would not be able to be a member of the Parliamentary Conservative Party. And talking of politics, can I say it is a particular pleasure to be here in the Spanish Embassy because, as we all know, the Spanish Prime Minister, just a few months ago, after what appeared to be impossibly bad local election results, was being written off by every pundit. But he took a number of bold strokes, made sure that he went to the country at a time that not everyone anticipated, and by making the right long-term decisions for Spain's future, was re-elected against the odds. And so for that reason, I can say, hand on heart, that Spain and Spanish socialists have never been more of an example to me than now. Now, of course, in coming to speak to you this evening, I was very conscious of the fact that I'm a domestic minister with a domestic portfolio. I stray only very rarely into foreign affairs, which I think most people here would consider to be a very good thing. But I wanted to make sure that I checked in with the Foreign Secretary before coming here. Fortunately, I had his number, though it had been a little while since we talked. But David wanted to pass on to all of you his thanks as well, because, again, as Charles has mentioned, the relationship that the UK has with the European Union, notwithstanding some of the difficulties that we had in the past, is one which is strengthening. I always argued that we should have in the UK a special relationship with the EU, every bit as strong and enduring and as important as the special relationship that the United Kingdom has had with the United States. I think the Windsor Framework was a clear sign of the constructive and pragmatic approach that Rishi wished to take. I think the fact that after some tough negotiation, we were able to rejoin the Horizon programme, and the fact in particular that on defence, the UK and the EU are working more strongly and intimately together, I think is proof of that. Who knows what may happen in the future and at future elections? I shan't resolve from my views, but one thing I also will not resolve from is my admiration for the way in which the CER has brought together fine minds devoted to ensuring that all the countries of Europe, whatever their political complexions and whatever their attitudes towards European integration, are behind an idea of solidarity in defence of liberty, in defence of the values that we've come to associate with the West, and in defence of free speech, democracy, and the free exchange of ideas that are part of our common European heritage. And it's for that reason that I hope that we can all raise a glass and say thank you to Charles and the CER for 25 years of distinguished work, and good luck for the... There we are, the Albarino. And good luck for the decades to come. Charles, thank you very, very much. And thank you to your team.